So you wanna play some good old games, don't you? Well, let me tell you straight up that it's not so easy just to pick up and play a game.
Yes, you can.
Shut up, I didn't ask for your input. Anyway, why don't we get started on some pretty basic knowledge. What makes a game a game? Let's look at a pretty easy to understand concept in the world of movies and TV shows, or better understood as the world of media. Genres are everywhere, and if you're looking for anything, you're more than expected to at least run into genres at some point. Genres serve one very easy to understand purpose though, and that's to define what something is meant to be by using a phrase or word. For example, Persona 4 is a role-playing game, or better known as an RPG, which is a category of games that are typically turn-based or require the player to feel immersed in the world. Well, would you look at that? Persona 4 ticked all the boxes. Now that we understand the purpose of a genre, we can move on to the topic of what genres really have to do with games. Games are a really underappreciated topic, which is why I'm here to give you that extra clarification that no one else gives you, alright? Alright. So, first things first, I gotta admit something. And I know it seems a little harsh, but if you're gonna move forward, I have to say it because otherwise I'll feel guilty or something. I don't know. Well, I lied to you. Whoa, put the fucking gun down, man. I get it, it's rude and unjustified, but it'll make sense, okay? Now put the gun down. Whew. Okay, now I didn't lie to you for the fun of it, alright? It was because it fits in line with what I'm about to talk about, and if you really think about it, the games were the real liars here. Let's go back to what I said earlier. Or is a role-playing game, or better known as an RPG, which is a category of games that are typically turn-based or require the player to feel immersed in the world. Did you hear that? Persona 4 is a role-playing game, or better known as an RPG. Well, if you want to get technical about it, Persona 4 isn't an RPG. In fact, it was a JRPG. What? We're the gas when the game is lying, but they're aghast when I'm lying.
Dude, I hate to break it to you, but like, no one cares.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I'll make you care by explaining myself in an over-the-top fashion. Let's go back to what a genre is, shall we? A genre is something that is defined by using either a word or phrase for things like movies, TV shows, art, and in this case, games. Now you may be saying, Spot, that contradicts what you just said earlier about the game to us. I'm glad you understand, because this helps us to understand a concept further beyond that of genres itself, and that's subgenres. Yeah, it gets deeper, but don't feel overwhelmed yet. I promise that I won't get any more confusing from here, so just bear with me, alright? So what really is a subgenre? Well, it's just sort of a genre on top of another genre. So for instance, JRPG is a subgenre of an RPG, hence the sub in the subgenre. Pretty easy to understand. Now we can finally get to talk about games instead of basic dictionary garbage. That's something I go to school for. So, what does this all have to do with games? Well, a lot actually. If you think about it, game genres are basically a definition of what a game is meant to be, and in some cases, allows us to understand a game a lot more. Like horror games, for example. If the horror game genre didn't exist, we would have zero ideas of what the fucking point of these games would be. And if genres didn't exist on the whole, these games could be jumbled up with games like Counter-Strike. What's the point of this stupid game if I can't shoot the damn ghost? I'm not gonna recommend this game on Steam, and I'm gonna ignore the fact that this game is making me shit myself. Hey, don't look grim. Let's talk about something more action-packed. The game in question is Ultra Kill. In short, this game is just filled with a bunch of shooting and explosions, and you can punch the shit out of the enemies, and holy shit, you can knock them in the air and shoot them with a fucking mine at them, and they blow into a pool of blood. A pool of fucking blood! I apologize for the sudden outburst, but this game is just so much fun. I swear I'm not a sadist. Ultra Kill is an FPS arena shooter in early access that derives some of its elements from the ever so popular games known as Doom, Quake, and even Devil May Cry with the style meter. Fun fact, this game also falls into another subgenre of games known as movement shooters, which is basically a subgenre of games with the ability to get the satisfaction of moving and shooting things quickly with styles. And boy, does Ultra Kill achieve that with flying colors. Every action made in Ultra Kill feels responsive and satisfying, and the in-game effects really give it justice with how flashy and gory everything looks. you can ricochet a bullet off a coin or two and have it directly headshot an enemy, or even boost your shotgun shells with a well-timed punch, giving an explosion to boot. And Ultra Kill isn't the only game of its nature that gives satisfaction in the simplest actions. Games like Ghost Runner, which most of the time you don't use a gun, make moving feel like something you want to keep doing instead of a chore. Which leads us to other games. Why would you play them if these games are so perfect in the way they are crafted? Well, there's more to it than just if it's better than other games or not. Games are like movies in a sense, where they aren't meant for everyone, just a specific audience that enjoys that piece of media. This is exactly the reason why comparing games like Ultra Kill to, say, I don't know, Super Mario 64 is just dumb, because they're meant for different types of people. Super Mario 64 in comparison to Ultra Kill is slow, tedious, janky, and just too easy. But if we look at it from a different perspective and actually use our brains, we can see that it actually has a different purpose compared to Ultra Kill in terms of what it's trying to achieve. Super Mario 64 may be slower than Ultra Kill, but it's easier to understand, easier for newer players or people to gaming in general, and is meant to reward you for smaller things, a game meant for a casual audience. Ultra Kill, on the other hand, is quick, satisfying, and is intended to reward people that make up creative ways in slaughtering a wave of enemies, a game meant for more hardcore players. Now you can see why arguments on why certain games are better than others, while each of their games are in different genres, don't make any sense because they serve completely different purposes and are for completely different audiences. It's almost as pathetic as console wars way back in the day. In the end, playing something you enjoy all comes down to preference. I like a variety of games, and I appreciate even the genres I don't like, and you and I can have completely different preferences and opinions on what games we like, but don't feel any sort of way if someone doesn't like your games of choice, or vice versa, because it's all dependent on you. Don't let this distract you from the fact that games like Doki Doki Literature Club purposely mislead you into thinking that it's an innocent visual novel when it's only there to piece your heart in the end. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go buy my favorite game, Puyo Puyo Champions, on All Key Shop, because I heard I could get it cheaper there. If I remember correctly, Puyo Puyo Champions is a casual multiplayer puzzle game, but let me double check, I could be wrong. Ah yes, psychological horror, as I remember. Wait, what?